Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. The Irish Cancer Society says there'll be excess and avoidable cancer deaths unless there's immediate action on screening services. Leaving Cert students are concerned that receiving their results 3 weeks later will negatively impact the transition to third level. A Waterford-based tech company has been bought by American multinational Uber for an undisclosed fee. And in sport, it's hoped fans will be allowed back into football stadiums across Channel by October. The Irish Cancer Society is warning that over 450 cancers have gone undetected since March. It's also warning that since screenings were put on hold, around 1,600 pre-cancers have not been detected either. The charity is calling on the government to urgently address waiting lists for cancer services that were made worse by the recent lockdown. It's warning there's a serious risk that delays and backlogs could lead to avoidable deaths. Waterford Sinn Féin TD David Culnan was questioning Rachel Morrow from the charity at the Dáil's COVID committee.
Thousands had not been screened. It may take years before we actually know the full extent of what that will mean for patients, that some patients may die prematurely if we don't put in place the catch-up programme, if they don't get a diagnosis as quickly as they should. So can I just first of all ask you, how serious is this matter?
The Irish Cancer Society believes that the issue of screening, it's imperative that we get screening services restored to the way that they were before coronavirus.
There are no new cases of COVID-19 in Waterford, with the total since the outbreak began remaining at 166. That's up to and including Tuesday of this week. The number of confirmed cases at University Hospital Waterford also remains unchanged at 2. One further patient was awaiting the results of testing last night. Leaving Cert students in Waterford say they're frustrated with the delays to the results. Grades will not be made available until September 7th, 3 weeks later than usual. They'll be followed by course offers 4 days later. Conor O'Sullivan is from Delasall in Waterford. He spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today.
Frustrated would be one word, yeah. It's really disheartening for us students because we all expected for the dates to stick this time and to get the results and then get offers for college, and now they've been changed again, and it's just off-putting for me anyway, because I was really excited to go into college and get my results and just kind of closing that part of my life and starting a new chapter ahead of me.
Rian O'Donoghue's from Dungarvan.
I think we're all kind of expecting it, that this kind of thing would happen as soon as this was announced. It's a whole new system. They have to look, when standardising it, they have to look at the past 3 years of previous grades for every school in the country. It hasn't been done before. This thing was going to happen. The issue is that this has come out so late. This decision was likely, in my opinion anyway, made in May when this whole system was set up, or at least they had some kind of premonition that this was coming out. And now here we are. It's only coming out now. It's kind of ridiculous and put even more stress on students.
In traffic news, Gardaí and Waterford are asking people currently parked in Kilclooney Woods who may be on the way to Cumshanon to move their cars. It's to accommodate Mountain Rescue, who are currently carrying out an operation in the Comoras. The Foreign Affairs Minister has confirmed the US won't be on a green list of countries Irish people can travel to. It comes as public health officials warn Ireland's now in a precarious position with COVID-19, as Adrian Harman reports.
Ireland's due to publish its green list of safe countries people can travel to without needing to quarantine when they come home on Monday. But America won't be on it, and it's unlikely the UK will be either, due to high infection rates in both countries. Foreign Affairs Minister Simon Coveney says, while unfortunate, the decision is science-based.
It's on the basis of data, epidemiological data and numbers. And then we can put countries on a green list that we regard as representing no higher risk than Ireland represents.
It comes as the acting chief medical officer warns that Ireland's in a precarious position of its own when it comes to coronavirus infection rates. The head of the National Public Health Emergency Team's Modelling Advisory Group, Professor Philip Nolan, says there has been a noticeable increase in cases recently.
Unfortunately now, just in the last few weeks, we've begun to see it grow again, albeit from very low levels and albeit slowly. It's beginning to grow.
The reproduction rate now stands between 1.4 and 1.8. That could potentially mean the country would see 150 cases per day in 3 weeks' time. Public health officials are now calling on the public to redouble their efforts to ensure the number of coronavirus cases continues to be suppressed in the weeks ahead.
A Waterford TD says young adults with disabilities are not able to access services available in their community. The impact of COVID-19 on people with disabilities was discussed at the Oireachtas Coronavirus Committee this morning. Independent TD Matt Shanahan used the opportunity to speak about Waterford man Carl Cretson.
He's now over 18, and despite the fact that he lives less than half a mile from the Central Remedial Clinic unit on the grounds of University Hospital Waterford, because he's over 18, he can no longer access physiotherapy, occupational therapy, language and speech, and he's in the same boat as everybody else in over 18s. Can you give us any comfort at all that these people are going to be looked at in terms of the future provision of the general services, particularly those that are available in their community but are not accessible by them?
A manager from a Waterford leisure centre says they've spent considerable expense to be able to reopen. The Kingfisher in Waterford City will open their doors on Monday for the first time since the 13th of March. Adam Martin spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today.
With the restrictions at the moment, our pool is not open for another 2 weeks and there's no shower facilities due to social distancing. This isn't our rule, obviously, it's a government rule. So at the moment it's gym only. We can take up to 50 people and it is a booking system. So the app is now, for like everyday life, it's become vitally important. So you will book in, you'll book your 1 hour spot in the gym, you'll arrive in at reception and obviously go up to the gym and have your time then.
He says they've purchased an electrostatic gun.
It's a hospital type piece of equipment. It coats the different areas, so it lasts for 30 days and fights all bacteria. So there's not many places will have that. It puts, peace of mind for staff who are there trying to clean the items and for the members that are in there.
A Waterford senator says there are vacant pubs in towns, villages and cities across Ireland that will never be used for that purpose again. A planning permission exemption to change commercial buildings to residential housing units does not apply to public houses. However, John Cummins says these buildings are being converted in some areas.
There is an issue down the line that will be there if and when the owner of such a property wishes to sell it. We all have examples of vacant properties and vacant pubs in particular across towns and villages and even cities that will never be used for their original purpose again. And in Waterford, 30 such units, restaurants and pubs, have already been used under the repair and lease scheme for that purpose. But we really have to address the issue of the vacant pubs because they just simply will not be used for that purpose again.
He wants a debate on the issue.
I'd be calling on you, Leader, to invite Minister O'Brien in to have a discussion on this. It's illogical that a shop on one corner of a street in a town or a village can be brought back into habitable use for residential purpose without the need for planning permission, whereas the pub on the other corner cannot.
A Waterford-based tech company has been bought by an American multinational, Uber, for an undisclosed fee. Route Match, which creates software for public transport planning, was established at TSSG in Carriganore by Tramore native Larry Breen in 2015. It's thought that Uber will retain all 45 staff currently employed by Route Match. Elaine Fennelly is the director of Crystal Valley Tech.
As you and I both know, Damien, with a shortage of skills in tech, we want to attract the best and the brightest, and they're attracted to big names like IBM and like Uber. Just when we go to a shopping centre, we want that brand anchor tenant. The techies do the same. When they're moving, they want to know that they're coming to a big, established, well-financed company. So it's really brilliant news for the city.
Sports News on WLR.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Want super fast broadband today? Drop into Virgin Media George's Street and take it home with you. Easy as that.
And a very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. I'm Nigel Kelly, starting with the Premier League, where UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is hoping spectators will be allowed back into football stadiums in the middle of October. Currently, matches in the Premier League and the Championship are being played behind closed doors due to the coronavirus outbreak. Prior to that, Johnson plans to pilot larger gatherings in sports venues as part of the lockdown easing measures, beginning on August 1st. On that note, there's a huge game at the bottom of the behind closed doors for the moment. A win for either West Ham or Watford at the London Stadium can effectively assure that they stay up. In the Championship, Leeds are just a point away from returning to the Premier League after a 16-year absence. Leeds beat Burnley 1-0 and they could be promoted tonight if West Brom don't win at Huddersfield. In Gaelic games, the GAA club season resumes this evening with a cap of 200 people being allowed to attend games. That number to include even teams, staff and the necessary stadium staff. The president of the GAA, John Horan, has called on the government to ease restrictions on the amount of people allowed to attend games, calling for 500 to be allowed in. There's a raft of games in Waterford's Club Hurling Championship tonight, with Kilgobna playing Mount Mellery and Stradbally playing St Declan's Ardmore at 7 o'clock. At 7:30. Elsewhere is Butlerstown against Ferrybank, Aaron's Own and Clonea, Roadmore and Passage, and Dunhill against Mount Sion, with those games throwing in at 7. In Camogie, the 2020 All-Ireland Camogie draw was made last night, where the Waterford team have been drawn against Kilkenny, Limerick and Westmeath in Group 2. Team manager Fergal O'Brien says there's no such thing as an easy game in inter-county Camogie.
There is absolutely no team at inter-county level that is considered an easy game. You know, these teams will be very well prepared in every aspect of performance. So, you know, we have to be at our very, very best here in Waterford to compete and to take down all these teams.
And the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Final will be held on on Saturday even, December the 12th. Only the Senior Final will be held at Croke Park on that day. In golf news, Rory McIlroy is 2 under par after the first round of the Memorial Tournament in Ohio, where Tony Finau leads on 6 under. Shane Lowry is 1 over and Graham McDowell is 7 over. Tiger Woods on 1 under. And in horse racing, there is an 8-race card at Limerick this afternoon, with the first off at 1 o'clock a short while ago, and a 7-race programme at Kilbeggan gets underway at 4:45. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.